Well, we talked about it. We said we're going to get a little deeper into this. Back to our top story this Friday morning. A major shift in Hollywood as Netflix is buying Warner Brothers Discovery in a deal totaling nearly $83 billion. And Netflix will acquire a huge movie library from Warner Brothers as well as HBO's catalog. And joining us now is Michael Schneider, executive TV editor at Variety. Michael, thanks for being here. I always appreciate talking to you.
Absolutely. You said the heat is on, and the heat is definitely on with this deal.
It is definitely on. So that's why you're here to break some things down for us. Let's go here. Netflix, of course, the biggest streaming service with some of the deepest pockets in Hollywood. Why was this the move the company wanted to make, and why now?
It was really unexpected at first. For the longest time, Netflix said that they weren't interested in acquiring companies. They weren't about buying companies. They're about building companies. But Warner Brothers has a library that is pretty undeniable when you look at just everything that they've had through the years. And it's something that is very valuable. And Netflix saw an opportunity to buy that library. And ultimately, that's what it really wanted. And they had the means to do it. So the big get bigger.
Yeah, just, measly $83 billion. I got that laying around here too,
Right.
somewhere, Michael. From movies to TV, HBO, Netflix, they've been long rivals at these award shows, and they have different styles of programming. So you have the binge model versus the week-to-week episode drops on HBO. So what does this mean for HBO's future?
That's the big question right now. In the immediate future, Netflix has said HBO will continue to operate as a separate entity. But long term, we know how these mergers go. The big question is, where are they going to find the cost efficiencies? And does it make sense to keep HBO going as a separate entity, or do they incorporate all of that programming and basically all of those subscribers into Netflix? That's a question that hasn't been answered yet, and that's part of the big concerns that people have about this deal.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting where they, HBO is housed. Does it stay the same? Does it go to Netflix on the app? We'll have to find that out. It's been reported that the Directors Guild of America wants to meet with Netflix to discuss creator concerns when it comes to this deal. How do you expect Hollywood to react to this news of this meeting?
The reaction has already been of alarm and concern out there. I think there are a number of questions that people have. First off, Netflix's commitment to the theatrical distribution model. Famously, Netflix, for the most part, doesn't distribute its films in theaters.
Right.
It does some specialty runs. It does own a couple of theaters. But Warner Brothers, of course, one of the traditional studios, and the fear is eventually that those movies no longer appear in theaters. Now, Warner Brothers has deals with theaters through at least 2029. So this isn't an immediate issue, but it is a long-term concern. And then, of course, the big issue that everyone has is regulatory. Will this deal even pass a regulatory muster?
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up, just talking about the idea of these companies. You're talking to AMC and Regal, who they're so used to having these big movies released there. If you're talking about characters like Superman and Batman and Harry Potter, we can't see a world where these blockbuster type films and the ones where you're used to going and getting the popcorn and bringing everybody, they have to be in theaters, right? It would lose its luster.
Yeah, Netflix is saying some of the right things right now. They're promising that there will still be a theatrical component, particularly to these Warner Brothers movies. Perhaps we live in a world where the Warner Brothers theatrical movies are still distributed in theaters, but Netflix movies are not. A lot of unanswered questions, and of course, immediately not much will change. But in the long term, what does this mean? Netflix has never, been a company to put a lot of its movies in theaters.
Yeah, that's going to be really something to watch. As we know, the film industry has been taking a really interesting turn over the last few years. And speaking of the film industry, it has seen a lot of layoffs, Michael, when it comes to Skydance, Paramount merger. Are we expecting to see more once this deal goes through? I know you mentioned it earlier, maybe some cost-cutting ways. And what's the job front like in the industry right now? We live in L.A. Someone's taking a plane, a train, a bus here thinking, I'm going to take over Tinseltown. What's it like right now?
That was one of the big concerns of 2025 is with these acquisitions and mergers. We've lost a lot of jobs, and we continue to lose a lot of jobs. And every time one of these big mergers happens, that's where they find a lot of cost efficiencies. And Netflix has said that they're looking ultimately to find efficiencies as much as $2 to $3 billion per year when this deal goes through. A lot of that comes at the cost of jobs, as we saw with Paramount and Skydance. A lot of jobs were lost this year. So it's another deep concern in this industry that's already been suffering.
Yeah, a lot of folks gonna be watching for sure. Well, appreciate your time. Obviously, the news breaks late, and so we got you here. Michael Schneider, executive TV editor at Variety. Thank you for joining us as always.
Yeah, absolutely.